a huge question in my mind is always, how do you get decent people to collude with evil, and what does it take to resist? So with the Guantanamo story, I'm seeing all these people just go along with it because they might risk their career, they might risk opprobrium, they might risk hassle or skepticism or criticism. So it's so relevant now to see the story of a man who did not collude with evil and the incredible good that resulted from that. When I was writing about Guantanamo, I was really struck that the way you get evil to happen on a massive scale is you compartmentalize it and you give each person just a little bit that's defensible. Well, I just took the prisoner from here to here, or I just, signed the death report. I just, I'm just following orders. Again, being Jewish, that has such relevance for me, the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. How could so many good people have gone along with something evil? Well, compartmentalization. What you really see in this movie is how a giant bureaucracy was sort of self-perpetuating and then needed to lie and lie and lie to the American people. And so then when this one guy, Dan Ellsberg, does this totally illegal thing, steals all these classified documents, Xeroxes them all night, and then leaks them systemically to different newspapers. What's so fascinating is how it disrupts the system of lies at so many levels. Each person who is confronted with this has to make a moral decision. The New York Times editors had to decide, were they going to take a risk? Were they going to play it safe? Were they going to go with their lawyer's advice and just step back from this historic challenge? And they took a risk, one that many newspaper editors do not take now, by the way. Judges took a risk, and many judges are not taking that risk now. That is the risk to do the right thing and to err on the side of the people and the people's judgment and not err on the side of bolstering government secrecy. And at higher and higher levels, bureaucrats, the president, they were confronted with this and they had to choose, moral choice. Do I do right? Do I do wrong? And many of them chose to do wrong. But some of them chose to do right. And again, that's so energizing to see, because we're really in a time where everybody's kind of given up, I was just having dinner last night with a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he was saying, well, torture, or preventive detention. I'm like, we've reached a point where the gatekeepers have sort of given up. And I think that it takes these individuals who risk everything blatantly to remind people that they don't have to give up and that there is a reason to go to to choose to do the right thing. It's not just a fantastic inspirational story about a guy, it's also a fantastic drama about one person standing up to the greatest power on earth and how that greatest power on earth pursues him and tries to break him and breaches every, area of privacy he might have and, corrupts his relationship with his psychiatrist. And again, in a time of the Patriot Act and smear campaigns and Valerie Plame, what could be more relevant and exciting and fun to watch? The love story is really important, and I happen to personally know and idolize Patricia. I mean, she's like the most perfected woman in some ways I've ever met. I mean, she has an absolutely pure heart, and she's beautiful, and she's a wonderful mother, and she's sort of my role model, one of my little pantheon. And so what I loved was the way the filmmakers elicited Patricia's story and how, this guy was driven to stand up against the greatest power on earth for a lot of reasons, but one of them was the love of this beautiful woman and this moral woman, this woman who, if she hadn't said, come with me to the Peace March on our first date, who knows how history would have unfolded.